Hi guys, my name is Thaís Christine. Um, and I've mentioned previously that I wanted to do a workshop kind of thing, and I still want to do that. Um, but I don't feel ready to charge for it yet, because I still have to like develop something a little bit more structural. But I still feel like I've learned a lot of things that I feel like society doesn't talk about enough. So I just wanted to share a few things that I've learned. So yeah, this is very improvised. That's why it's called the improvised workshop. And if you have a problem with that, remember the internet is there. You can find somebody they can pay hundreds of dollars to. That's absolutely fine. But I just want to talk a little bit because if you think about it, life itself is kind of improvised. So, okay. So I've already talked about my singing history, but I think I'm gonna like detach from it a little bit, and I'm just gonna tell you some of my personal problems with the whole singing thing. And I would like you to maybe try to see like if you also feel the same way, because I feel like chances are you most likely do. Um, and I feel like society doesn't really help you because society is all about systems, structures, class, status, and at the end of the day, sometimes it can make you feel like you're stupid for wanting this and this can't even happen. But then you feel like, okay, but if this can happen, then why is the desire inside of me? So I'm going to be helping you with that. So first, we're going to be talking about some limitations, problems, your psychology, like artists, how to get there, what is artistry, common pitfalls. Is that the word? Yeah. And then like I said, I'm just like improvising here, but like some things that could help you. Okay, so let's start. I think when it comes to like the limitations, and I'm just gonna speak from my experience because I'm trying to make this truthful, okay? So first of all, I would say the media, right? Me personally, when I was a kid, like five or so, it was clear to me that I was here to be an artist. But then, like, as soon as I turned like 8 or 9, I started to feel like, no, I'm not the artist because the Mexican singer is the real artist. I don't know, Britney Spears is the real artist. Whoever's famous, whoever's on the media is the real artist. So then you're like, but I'm not famous myself, so I'm not the real artist. So that's one of the things that you're gonna feel. And that's one of the things that a lot of people will try to make you feel. And why? Well, because we're all part of the same system. Like they're being exposed to the same content that you're being exposed to. But a lot of it is also psychological limitations in people. And I'm not demonizing anybody. I'm just saying people are psychologically limited. And I think this goes back to society, right? Because society doesn't really think about those things. And then we have so many problems because the psyche, the emotional self gets neglected. And then it gets to a cycle where people feel like actually that's the right way to be. It gets moralized. People are like, I'm realistic, I'm superior, and you're the stupid artist. So, yeah, then there's also that problem, like public shaming. So you're like, okay, I want to make art, but everybody's making me feel like I'm an idiot, like I'm delusional, like I'm crazy, like I'm not good enough. So, how do you think that's going to make you feel? Well, it can be good for art. I'll tell you that. You can make a lot of music about that. But that's really going to affect your sense of self-esteem, your self-concept. And at least in my case, that made me feel depressed because if I couldn't like myself anymore, then I started to experience that somatically. So that's one thing to keep in mind. One thing that really helped me was reading books about it and therapy as well. But I feel like when I started to understand things, like when I started to get educated on psychology, then I think something inside of me truly shifted. So I think that's like the silver lining about life right now. Like you can simply like go on the internet, go on YouTube. I think it's very important to like search for the right terms, but once you get there, then it can really help you feel better. So in my case, I try to find content that makes me feel stronger in my inner identity, like how to like believe your self-concept, how to like have your self-concept not like I'm trying to think here, like how to like keep a strong sense of self. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And then like I personally really care about psychology. I try to understand why things happen. I don't think that's necessarily helpful to most people, but I mean, if you're this kind of person, I think it's also very important to know like what you're trying to like learn about. In my case, learning about projection is something that really helped me because like when you have a dream and then you meet people that are like, "Oh my God, don't do this, don't do that." I mean, I'm not a psychologist, but my understanding of it is that it's projection. And once you understand what's actually happening, like the power decreases a little bit. Like it doesn't affect you as much. So, okay. Like I'm saying here, this is not structured, huh? Like I'm just like brainstorming a little bit. If you want the structure, pause this video. It's absolutely fine. Bye bye. But if you want to stay here and listen to my life experience, my intuitive, what's the word? Like just my intuition here, okay? Then just stay here, all right? Because it helped me. It kind of like got me out of like depression, I would say. So just stay here if you want to. I'm not forcing you, huh? All right. Okay. So some of the limitations: the media, public shaming, self-esteem. But I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, right? Like I don't know about you, um, but I don't know. Like I think sometimes like empathy gets in the way because you're like, okay, like if I truly accept that I like myself, that I think I'm pretty, that I think I'm talented, then you will find a lot of people that like will basically make you feel like you're arrogant for even liking yourself at all, or people that make you feel like you're delusional. And yeah, that's all about psychology. So I'm just telling you, I think self-esteem is important because if you have like a weak sense of self-esteem, then you go to the studio, you try to record a song, and then your voice gets shaky. Like your voice gets shaky, like you can do it, you start to feel bad about it, you don't enjoy it. So that's why it's important. All right, money, class, opportunities, family. Okay. Well, I think that this one is one of the most obvious ones, but I also think that sometimes when you have the money or like you're from like let's say a socially accepted class, then those things can also get in the way because people think because you have the privilege then you're not deserving of it. And that's something that happened to me in particular, and then I started to feel like, okay, maybe I'm just delusional, maybe I can sing at all, and maybe I'm not even allowed to sing because my parents cared about me for like a very limited amount of time, right? Because at some point it stopped caring as well. But what I'm trying to say is like sometimes that happens and it all gets to your self-esteem. It all gets to your self-concept. And if your self-concept is weak, then everything gets very difficult. But I want to acknowledge if you don't have enough money, then how are you going to make art? Well, that's not going to happen. But luckily, you can still find ways to make money. And also, I'm going to tell you one thing right here, right now. I see the value in going to a music studio. I think that's an amazing experience. However, you do not need a studio. You do not need like fame. You don't need like Spotify numbers in order to be an artist. Being an artist has to do with the way that you kind of like see reality, how you like respond to experiences. So even if you don't have money, you can still make art. And what do I mean by that? Like you literally just sing, like your voice is there, like the art is inside of you. Those external things are not the art. They're ways for you to actually practice that, but you're the artist. So don't forget that. And there's nothing shameful about simply singing, exposing yourself. But that doesn't mean that society will respond that way. Most likely they won't. But I'm just telling you, even if you don't have those things, I truly understand how painful this is. But you're still an artist. I validate you. And I'm gonna like just expand this a little bit. Like, just think about humanity, right? Like the history of humanity. Do you think that like people, like I don't know, like 1,000 years ago, do you think that like they had Spotify back then? They didn't. But did they have art back then? They did. And where does this art come from? It comes from the need to express something. I personally think art is very connected to emotions, and emotions are very connected to the spirit. So that's how I see this. So historically, people have always been making art. That's something that has nothing to do with status. That's just something that comes from within. So, yeah, I think that's something that's very important. And I think like once you truly understand this, then you realize, oh my God, I don't need to sound like the famous singers because like the famous singers are like a product of like capitalism. That's nothing to do with art itself. So what I'm trying to tell you here is you don't need to wait until you become like, I don't know, like whoever famous singer there is out there for you to validate yourself. You validate yourself because first of all, you're a human being. And second of all, I don't know, like art is just something that people do. Like, I personally don't believe that you actually need to be good to be art because I think that's not what it's about. But that's just my opinion. I think art is about self-expression and people feel emotions. So let's say, I don't know, like if you're a little bit sad, like what does it sound like? Just feel that a little bit and then make some noise, draw something. I think that's what art is truly about. Everything else is just a part of the system, which is basically about power. It's not about self-expression anymore. But if power is important for you, go for it. I'm not gonna say like you shouldn't, but I'm just saying sometimes like if you want power so much and you can't get it, that can lead to depression. And I think it's important that we accept that. But hey, remember, like I'm just saying what I think here. I can be wrong. You don't have to like agree with me. I'm not a cult leader. I'm just a girl that's like sharing like her thoughts. I'm gonna pause my music because it's pissing me off. Thanks. All right, family. Families are also very important. Because I feel like I'm just gonna tell you like some terms. Because enmeshment happens in family systems, and then like you try to like separate yourself from the family unit, and then a lot of problems happen. So I think those are some of the things that I think you should try to keep in mind. So my suggestion would be try to read books about it, try to like watch videos about it. Like podcasts are also very good. But basically these are some of the problems. I think that's like the pain of being an artist. Okay? Sometimes it can also be ability. I'm gonna be honest here. Sometimes you need to get a little bit better. But in that case, like you can try to educate yourself. You can try to do that through more conventional means. But I think with the internet, I think it's better. You can also try to find people that actually care about you. Um, just talk. Remember, your voice is your power. So as soon as you're like very clear about what you feel, about what you want, I think a lot of things can improve for you. Yeah, I think I basically explained what I mean about the psychology, but it can get in the way or it can help the art. Me particularly, I think I'm an extremely sensitive person, and I think that really helps with the music, and also with songwriting. But I think after a certain point, it doesn't help anymore because after a certain point, you start to feel depressed, you start to feel physically weak, you start to lose your power. And I think those things are real. And I think for a long time, it's like the life force was out of me. And it took me a lot of work. And also, I needed to acknowledge this in order to get it back. So, what I'm trying to say is, and that's also like for life itself, like you can't do anything unless your mental health is okay. But it's so difficult for your mental health to be okay because at the end of the day, it's not just about you. It's because we live in a very interconnected world. So, yeah, like that's like what I'm just trying to say here. So, how to get there? And what do I mean by there? Success, fame, happiness, even though I don't like that word. How do you get there? Well, when it comes to success and fame, I think um you can get those things, but like not at the level that you might expect or not at the level that society says, "Oh, now you're a real artist." But hey, don't listen to those people because those people they're trying to deal with their comparative shame by devaluing you. Okay? So, in my case, I think success is actually making the songs, releasing them, and actually letting this part inside of me exist. Like, success is being aligned with my sense of self. I think to actually get there, you don't need a lot of money, you don't need a lot of things that people think you do. But I'm just saying, that's what success means to me. Now, let's say if success to me means, I don't know, like becoming a very famous singer, can I get there? I'm not gonna say no, you can't. That's absolutely impossible because I don't think that's true. But I'm not gonna tell you like, yes, you can. You're gonna get there, girl. It's gonna happen because that's also very dangerous. So in my case, I try to get like different scales of success. So I perform, I post my videos, I get thousands of views. And those things, they do matter, right? So you can get success, but just like at a different level. Because truly, like the people that really get to like really, really like crazy fame, the structure behind them got them there. Usually it's a case of privilege. And that's okay. We need to accept that. But that doesn't mean that you don't have privileges. I'm sure you have privilege compared to somebody. But I'm just saying, if you compare yourself to like the most famous and rich person ever, you're never gonna feel happy about it. So are you really gonna try to be depressed for the rest of your life because of that? I don't think that makes sense. But I also want to say, I feel like once you get truly, truly famous, like extremely famous, I don't feel like that's actually good for the psyche. I think that's like a whole different problem. And I think that kind of shows that there's something wrong with society itself, that we feel the need to prove so much. Because I feel like fame amplifies your sense of self somehow. So it just makes me think, like, why do you need to amplify it that much? I don't know. You tell me. So. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't amplify it at all. I feel like humans feel the need to like to show that they exist, and that's beautiful. And when you show that you exist, you help other people as well. I'm pretty sure like when I post my music out there, somebody is feeling a little bit influenced by me, somebody's feeling a little bit inspired, and also maybe somebody's sad and then somebody listens to it. Like I can like make them feel heard somehow. There's a sense of connection that I think is truly beautiful and like got me into art. So I don't know, like yeah, like I'm just brainstorming here. Fame, I think that's basically the same as success, and then happiness. Um, this one I don't have the authority to tell you anything about yet, but I think that to me, happiness is self-permission and also a sense of calm. And I don't think that you get that necessarily through achieving your dreams. I think you get that by kind of like having a mental picture of what happiness is supposed to mean. Like you need to kind of like understand it and then you need to feel it, you need to embody it. But this one is very complicated. I think that's like this one is a little bit above my pay rate. But I don't know. Like I don't know. For this one I can help you with. All right. So, what is artistry? I think I talked about that already. I think art is about letting your emotions speak for you, letting it move through you. And I think that artists get the emotion. Like, art is kind of like translating emotion. So like you don't come up with the emotion is there. I think all the content is there for you. And then I think it's just kind of translated a little bit. And I think for me, singing comes from the fact that I'm very emotional, but I also think a lot. I read a lot, so I think I have like the words that I need to express my emotional states. But I'm not, I mean, I don't think I'm responsible for the emotional states. I think they just happen. I think that like when I make art, I try to regulate those emotions. So that's kind of like what I feel about it. Um, but yeah, but the thing is, I think everybody has the ability, but I think that the industry gets in the way because people think that it needs to sound a certain way, you need to be good, you need to be bad, and I don't think that's the right way to think about it. But honestly, like if you're also not artistic, don't force yourself. That's absolutely okay. But there might be like another type of art that you like. I think that art in a way kind of like reminds you of the fact that you deserve to be alive. And I think that's beautiful. Um, Yeah, but I also think that I mean, I don't understand like what talent truly is, but I feel like I'm very like connected to my subconscious mind somehow. I feel like depending on the like the mental states, the brain states they're in, like you can access it more easily. Me, I access it when I'm like falling asleep a lot of the time. Um, and then I feel like, well, you think as well, right? Like thoughts are just there. And then I think that your artistic thoughts are kind of like your subconscious thoughts. And then like you just play with it a little bit, like you really let yourself play with it. And then like that's how it comes, you know? But like I try really hard not to like judge it while it's coming to me. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. And then tomorrow or the day after, then I can try to like reorganize the structure a little bit. So I think that's how it works. Um, Yeah, I think that's basically how it gets done, and I truly believe that everybody can get there. And at some point, like when I do like have my workshop, I would like to like help people like get over their psychological block because I think that's what gets in the way. Um, okay, I think I meant here like problems that can happen. Well, you need to get a job, right? And then you work, and then people get entangled a little bit. There's enmeshment, and I think that happens because of group dynamics. So I think that like you should go to work. It's very important for you to still like be a part of society. Like you shouldn't put like all your eggs in one basket. That's very important. But you should try to separate the art from like your main income source. But then again, that's just something that like works for me. But like that's what I mean. That's why like getting psychology, like stabilizing yourself, I think that's why those things are important because once you do that, then you move through the world like with more like confidence a little bit, and I think that like could actually really help you. So that's what I'm trying to talk about here. Because in my case, like I had a job because I needed money. I needed money so that I could record my songs. But then people started comparing themselves to me, and then a lot of like psychological things come into play, and then I start to feel like I'm threatening people, and I start to feel depressed, and then it doesn't really work. But does that mean that you should give up? You should not do it? No. Because like if you have a dream, you should go for it. Because like deep down inside, you know what you're here to do. So I think then again, the answer is education. But what is the problem here? Like society acts as if artists don't exist. And then, yeah, I feel like what I'm doing right now is what society doesn't do enough. So that's why I'm putting it here to try to help somebody. So those are some of the problems that could happen. And also a lot of like social rejection, humiliation. Those things actually do happen. So, what do? You try to stay strong. You try to like truly believe in your potential. And what do I mean by believe in your potential? Like, really think about it. Really think, why do you actually believe in your potential? Like, your brain needs to be convinced. So, convince your brain. And I think once you're truly convinced, then I think a lot of things can improve as a result. By the way, there are many other pitfalls, okay? But let's think, how can you help people? with art. Yeah? Okay, now my brain capacity is getting a little bit like, oh my God, Thais, come on. Let's try to organize everything. You see, that's my problem. And that's why I like music because it's not so organized. But anyway, um, well, I think that people really like it when they feel like they're talking to a human. I think that people really believe that status is so important. Like, I'm a teacher, I'm a singer, I'm this, I'm that. But I think what people really like is a sense of connection. I noticed that, like, with my students. Like, when I truly understand that they're struggling, but I'm here to help them and I'm like patient, I feel like the connection just happens like naturally. And I feel like the same thing can happen with music. I think if I'm just like this distant singer, or just the singer, then I'm a symbol. And once you're a symbol, I feel like people don't relate to you that much. So I feel like it's very important to let yourself be seen, let yourself be acknowledged as a human being. Because I think that the power has to do with this connection, human being to human being. And how can you help people? Like, I don't know, just think in your own life. Like, how do you listen to music? What do you feel? So in my case, I've listened to a lot of sad music, like when I was sad, and the music was kind of my friend. My family, for example, they invalidated my emotions a lot to the point that I felt like I couldn't say anything at all. So music was a way for me to like actually express those things. So basically, music was a way for me to validate my humanity and my right to exist. But for a long time, I felt like that was silly of me to do that. And why? Because of this whole system that we must accept that we're a part of. But still, like when you get married, there's music. When you have a birthday party, there's music. It's like a part of you is gonna stay like interconnected with other people. Like a part of you is gonna stay in other people's lives and you're touching people's hearts. And I feel like there's nothing more beautiful than that. And if you really think you need to be like extremely rich and famous to be able to feel like you're worthy, um, then I don't think I'm the right person for you. But I'm not gonna tell you that there's something wrong with that. It's just a different way of seeing life, but that's not the way that I see life. And I think that I'm trying to talk to people that understand music from this perspective and also art in general. Okay, so now let's talk about your sense of agency. Well, I think this is very simple. Write the song because you feel like it. If you can afford to go to a studio, if you can't, try to see somebody that can help you. Look, if you can get a Ferrari, you get another car, you get a motorcycle, you get a bike, like there's always like a core need behind the thing that you're thinking about. So what's the core need? So once you find a way to like achieve the need itself, then the weight kind of doesn't really matter. So I feel like a lot of the times, yeah, like maybe you're not going to be able to work with this like millionaire producer, but you can work with another producer, and that's also valid. So you're going to have like a sense of agency. So the more you create, the more people eventually like start to like respond to you differently. So that's what I mean. Like, think about it a little bit. How can you still make sure that you feel like you have a sense of agency? And how can you feel like you're not depriving yourself of something that deep down your system knows you absolutely need to survive? Yeah. So try to do that. And then like yeah, just have a sense of community. Just try to talk to people, try to be yourself. I'm gonna say etc. because I think that most of the things that I've talked about here, they kind of like explain this a little bit, but I think it's really, really important to believe yourself. But I don't mean this in the Disney way, the kind of like nothing burger way. I mean this as why do you believe yourself? Truly think about it. Let yourself think about it. The meaning of art, I think I've talked about it already. I think it's a way for you to mm, like acknowledge that you deserve to be here. Okay, and I think that's very, very important. My future plans, I don't know. Just making more music. Maybe eventually I'll make a workshop. I'll continue to be shameless, delusional, because that's what got me here anyway. And I've started to accept myself, and I think that's the closest thing to happiness. Um, I can't promise anything when it comes to my eventual workshop, but I think a lot of the things that I wanted to express are already here. So I hope that I was able to help somebody. I think that now with the internet, it's much easier. I think that, like when I was a teenager, like it was only the famous people that could make it. So then I was like, oh my God, I need to be famous. And then that just led to depression and self-rejection. But now with social media, I think that those things don't matter as much anymore. So I think in a way, it's just about expressing my humanity, myself. And I think that's beautiful. So yeah, there'll be more songs soon. If I feel the need to like release a video like this, I will, but I think this was very important. Um, yeah. At some point there will be a workshop. I'll try to help people. I'll try to turn this into a career a little bit, like the the mentor kind of thing, I mean. But I'll just continue making music because I feel like it. And I'm not ashamed of it. Like if you try to shame me, it's not gonna work. So, and I'm very happy to say that I've finally got here because it took me forever. So, I hope that this will help somebody, and that's pretty much it. Thank you so much. And if nobody ever told you that, I'm here to tell you that it's okay to make art. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing cringe about that. It's literally like something so primal, so much older than this entire society that we should be proud of, honestly. Be proud of it. Thank you so much, and bye bye.